Hey, it's Coping Skill Tuesday, and today I want to talk about listening to music. So, listening to music, let's describe the coping skill. Basically, it means turning on the radio, a playlist, YouTube playlist, anything, just turning on music. It's meant to be a distraction, and for me, I use it to get through my commutes on the metro train because it's a good distraction from my thoughts and surroundings, especially during rush hour. So, what are the obstacles to engaging with the coping skill? That is sun in my eyeballs. Not having a way to listen to music, forgetting my headphones, being too overwhelmed or anxious, not having a playlist ready, stumbling upon a triggering song, no access to music at all. So let's talk about overcoming the obstacles. Not having a way to listen to music. If this is going to be an important coping skill, I have to make it a priority. For me, that means creating playlists ahead of time. So planning ahead is one way to overcome this obstacle. Forgetting headphones. So this means putting it on my morning to-do list, packing my purse ahead of time, or creating a packing list for my purse, maybe buying multiple headphones, one for my purse, one for my backpack, one for at home, being too overwhelmed or anxious. So when I'm too overwhelmed or anxious, there's like a certain level of anxiety that if it gets above that, there's no way that I can engage with certain coping skills. And this is one of those coping skills I cannot engage with when I get too anxious. So that means preparing this coping skill for when I am ready to engage with it. So if I am feeling overwhelmed or anxious and I just can't listen to music, I put it on my list of coping skills, but then I have to first bring down my anxiety. So that means maybe doing a list of other easily engageable coping skills first, and then having the music ready so I can press play when I'm ready, and that way it just kind of goes a little bit more smoothly in helping me manage those high anxiety moments or triggering moments. So not having a playlist ready or having music ready in those moments, the one way to kind of overcome that obstacle, like if I don't have access to my phone right away, or maybe I can't remember a password or something, creating a playlist in the moment can be kind of good because it can allow me to wallow in the feeling. Creating those playlists in the moment can allow me to feel my feelings, but I also need to remember that I need to keep it short. So 15-20 minutes of songs like that to really let me kind of either sing it out or dance it out, or maybe just sit and be like, yeah, this song totally gets me, can be super helpful, because then I can allow the feeling to pass, especially that overwhelming sense of a feeling, and then I can come back to a piece of paper or come back to the moment and reevaluate the situation and the feeling, and maybe then approach it from a rational mind or a wise mind, perhaps, for DB2. So what happens when you stumble upon a triggering song? Super hard. There's two things that can happen. One, I can catch it in time, and I can use my song that I have. I designate a song that kind of helps me get past some of those triggering moments or songs. Now, there's also the times where a triggering song just sends you into a spiral and it happens very quickly. There's no catching it. That means I need to go to the stage where I counteract overwhelming anxiety or feelings and deal with those first, and have songs or playlist ready so that way I can listen to it when I'm back down from that high anxiety. When I don't have access to music at all, sing. Sometimes things like that happen. You just don't have access to music, and I think that's just comes with the territory of this coping skill. How do I engage in the moment with this coping skill? So one thing that I do is I use music to help me ride the subway. Now, I didn't grow up or for a very long time live in a city that had subways. That's something that's new for me. When I moved to this city, and I thought Metro would be something that I would really enjoy, turns out I don't. Like, anxiety through the roof. Didn't foresee that. So it's something I've had to learn to cope with, and one way is to listen to music while I'm on the Metro. And so I created a playlist specifically for riding the Metro, and it's something that is kind of all over the place all the time. And that, I just mean that I might go from a sad song to a very happy song to a middle song to a happy song to a really down song, and it just needs to go like this. Maybe the beat needs to go like this. I might listen to Beethoven, and then I might listen to Metallica. And I put it all over the place, and I intentionally scramble it because I want the distraction. I don't want to fall into where I'm mindless about my music, like listening to it, because I want it to be something that like keeps catching me. So that way I'm distracted from the surroundings of like being in a tight place with a bunch of people or in a tube. It just didn't click when I moved here, but now it does. And it also distracts me from my thoughts, so it's difficult to really like, I might latch onto a song for a little while, but it's going to last for like 3 or 4 minutes, and so then I'm listening to the song, my thoughts become associated with that song, but then the song changes and there's something new. And when you're packed on a subway, it's also impossible to change the song, so I don't get into the habit of like changing the song either. So I'm stuck listening to this playlist, and it's amazing because it just distracts me. It's great. Let's talk about the last time I did not have headphones on me. I had a book on my phone. I had my Kindle app up, and I read a book, and that was helpful enough to get me through it. I also, at that time, which was helpful, had kind of figured out about like the rush hour situation, that there's longer trains, so there's more cars on the trains, so that means people can spread out, but people don't spread out for some reason. So I go to either the very front or to the very back, and then I can find a seat, a little bit more space. It's easier for me to manage, and so that turned out to be really helpful. Rating the coping skill. So in terms of ease of engaging, I give it a 3. It requires some prep, it requires tools, and I could be too anxious to engage with it. Overcoming obstacles, I give it a 3. It definitely requires some thought prior to utilizing the coping skill, and it does require some tools that sometimes can be misplaced, and sometimes it's expensive. Availability, I give it a 4, because it does require tools. It's not something that is just in your mind or your body. What kind of day can I use it on? I can't use it necessarily on my worst day, but I can still use it on a hard day, so I give it a 4. So that makes the average a 3.5, which is pretty awesome, I guess. Like, it's a really good coping skill. It just requires a little bit of prep, some tools, mindfulness, that sort of thing, and it can't necessarily be used on the worst day. So it definitely deducts from it, but at the same time, it's still a really helpful coping skill when you're in the right place. And that's all for today. See you next time.